Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bikini and the Brain podcast. My name is Ashley Coltwasser, and this is Adam Bonilla from Team Elite Physique.com. And today we will be discussing Imposter Syndrome.
Yeah.
And also how to get to your full potential and how your mind connects with your abilities and all that good stuff. So, yeah, don't want to miss it.
You know what, Ashley, you seem suspiciously energetic for this being a peak week.
You know, I'm not going to lie. That's my second coffee.
It's your second coffee. It's 11 a.m. Okay.
No, it's not 11.
What is it? Oh, it's 12:30. Dang,
Yeah,
we're late on this podcast.
Yeah, we did check in. But yeah,
that's
you're
right,
right. I do have good energy, and I can't explain it. I think it's just excited, but still haven't slept a lot. But I'm excited, so yeah.
We are, how many days out right now?
5?
5 days out.
Yeah, 5 weeks. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
5 days.
Yeah,
Woo.
that's pretty cool. For everyone watching, what show is it? What show is it, Ash?
It is the Spectrum Fitness Productions Golden State in Sacramento.
Ooh, that's gonna be fun.
This
Exciting.
Saturday.
I will be at the Jay Cutler show this weekend. Fortunately, but it's on the same day, and it's in Vegas. So I got to be at that show.
I'm actually salty. I'm going to miss that one.
Yeah,
I want to cheer on my teammates.
I know it's going to be a good show for us too. But oh well, we'll have a lot going on. We'll have a lot going on.
Oh,
that day.
Don't you worry. We'll be doing more shows.
Yes,
that
I'm
you
sure.
can go to.
With you, no.
There will be many of opportunities, Adam, for you to attend a show. I promise you that.
I just have so many doubts that you're going to do shows.
You're just being careful because you never know. I mean, I did sign my contracts for a few other shows, so there's some guarantees.
Yes, there's some guarantees in there.
Yes.
And we just, can I say that one about, the one we just did? Okay,
cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, so Ashley is doing the Mile High, too.
Oh, surprise.
Yes, that's
for
fun.
the 4th year in a row?
Oh, we should just tell them my new exciting sponsorship, Jeff. We literally just got off the phone with the promoter, Jeff Taylor, and I'm going to be sponsoring the NP, I don't even know what we're going to call it, something like this, the NPC Denver inaugural cornhole championships.
Oh my gosh.
So stupid. We was like, I guess they're going to have cornhole out there. And Jeff was like, would you want to sponsor? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get a big trophy for it and everything. We're going to give out some prizes for it. That's my jam right there. That's going to be so fun.
Is that were you guys serious?
No, he's serious.
Oh, I thought it was a joke.
No, he's serious.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, heck, I'm going to, I guess what's going to happen is I'm actually going to drop out of the bikini division to do cornhole.
To do the cornhole.
It's that's a joke.
I bet there's gonna be some like real studs that come out to do this like they're good at. Like,
dude, they're probably prepping right now. They're probably cutting carbs right now for that cornhole.
Someone turned off the podcast right now, went outside and started practicing this cornhole.
What if I'm just like, I'm going to retire and I'm going to become a professional cornhole player?
What if you did and you actually like climbed the ranks and you found out that you can actually like triple your relevancy in the world by like being a cornhole world champion than a bikini champion.
Oh my god! Yeah,
like $7 million prize money.
Oh my
What if
gosh.
that world is just we're underestimating?
I mean, isn't it on ESPN? I don't know.
Is it?
I don't know. I
bet
thought
you
I
it is.
saw it.
They'll do anything besides physique sports. Literally anything besides the hardest sport.
But what if I still look like this and I did cornhole and then I could actually say, like when somebody asks me, "Wow, you look great. What do you play any sports?" Or I'm like, "Yeah, I do." Cornhole, because I always use that whenever I sometimes with random strangers, like let's say I'm like in an Uber and wearing a tank top and some short shorts, sometimes look at us like, wow, what sport do you play, or what do you do to look like this? I always joke sometimes, and I'm just like, I play mini golf on Saturdays. That's it. That's it. That's how I got these. That's just because I don't want to like go into it, because then you have to be like, I do bikini. What's bikini? And then you have to go,
yeah. I do this. I get that. Well, I don't get asked as much as you do. Like they'll just be like, oh, you work out, whatever. It's not like you. You're like shredded, when you get into the Ubers. But we do this thing. We've done it a couple of times where we have to like go along with the joke, and we'll say something. I think we were in Sioux Falls, and then we said, oh, we're just out here visiting because she really likes
on vacation.
Yeah, we're on vacation
sightseeing.
Because she really likes
corn.
She really likes corn and all things like farming. And the guy was like, "You guys came out here for that?" We're like, "Yeah, it's like her." We made this whole story. We're like, "Yeah, I think it's her
This
birthday."
dream getaway.
And she's like, "I'm so excited. Where can I find like the best cheese manufacturers?" And the guy's like, "I don't know." And we're like, "We have to do this and keep a straight face." And so we had to like, the story just progresses and we're just like trying not to crack up laughing, and we'll do it. We did it for a while where like we would just have to like go along with it. It was kind of like we were trying to get the other to mess up, but it was pretty fun. That was pretty. We've done it a few times. The mini golf one was a good one because the guy was like, "Oh, really?" And then Ash is like, "Oh yeah, there's a whole thing. It's like a whole world people don't know about with the mini golf." And then they're like, "Really? Like a mini golf?" She's like, "I'm like, yeah, she's out here for the mini golf world championships. She's like legit, like really good, like different balls for everything." It's pretty funny.
Can you imagine being this like, I guess, in shape for mini golf? It's just like, wow, what an overachiever right now.
Pretty funny, but it does get. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with being in fitness when random people ask you like those questions is that it doesn't. Like it's people are like, why would you just say that? Because it's kind of mean to like make up a story. The problem is that they automatically go into like a free consultation in the car and ask about the diet. And the problem is they're not going to follow whatever you say. Yeah. They're going to like just eat more, eat less, and move more. You know, that's like the thing, but they won't. So it's like, I've been through it for 20 years, like every dinner with my friends and this and that. Yeah. They're like, oh, you know, I've been wanting to lose weight. And I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. I mean, it's all in good fun, right? Yeah. It's not, and depending on who the person is, sometimes we'll talk. If you kind of sense that they have a basic knowledge like of the sport, you know, I'll talk to them about it, but sometimes I'm just like, I don't even want to get into it. Yeah. Either that or, you know, sometimes too, you're like, it's this creepy person that's like just trying to like, you just cut it off like mini golf. Yeah,
so the mini golf works. I was also told once we were at the airport, which was really funny. Actually, I wish you were there this time. We're at the airport and we had our jackets on and we're going to like nationals or something. There's like 7 of us or something from Denver. We all flew out at the same flight. We're all wearing our like red, white, and blue jackets. And then we actually got asked a couple times. These girls were like, "Are you guys like on a cheer team?" And then I was there with Jake, who's like a pretty manly dude. He's like a pretty like, you know, he's like a bruiser. He's like a manly's man, you know, like just construction type of guy, you know? And he was like, he thought it was the funniest thing. So he just went along with it. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, we're going for like the cheer. Like he made this whole thing up. And so we just started talking to these girls and we kept talking about like the cheer championship. And we're just like throwing things out there. That was actually really funny. These guys always throw me in these situations.
Dude.
And then they did a gymnastics one too. Someone else asked us if we're on a gymnastics team.
Way too tall for a gymnastics team. Come on.
And I was there with Carl. Carl's like full on bodybuilder. Like he's huge. You've seen Carl. He's huge. And we're like who looks like this as a gymnastics guy? It was pretty funny.
Gyms just are pretty jacked, but not to that extent. Yeah. But they're also very short too. Yeah. So that would throw it off right away.
That was pretty. So anyway, those are fun like behind the thing stories. It's so off topic, but that was a fun intro.
Yes, we're getting there, guys. Yeah. So don't mind us.
Yeah. So anyway, we have this is our fun Monday intros.
And it's a good segue because imposter syndrome, and we're being imposters, but it's not actually what you think, though.
Actually, you put that together so well.
I did put together like a Subway sandwich.
That was good.
No, it wasn't.
It's a Segway sandwich. Did you call it a Segway sandwich? Are you that good right now? How are you functioning so highly right now with your carbs? This is some high level shit, man.
I slept last night. I used a 10-pound bag of rice to sleep on for my pillow, and those carbs just absorbed into my brain.
Jeez.
And just fueled this mind.
You're taking my pun trophy from me though, and you're the new pun champion. No. Did you say a Segway?
I actually
sandwich?
said Subway. You said Segway, but
I heard it as Segway.
But I was just gonna go with what you said.
That was good. Okay, that was good though. If it was Segway, well okay. We'll so I get credit for it.
50-50.
I want credit.
Yes, so. You are the pun master.
I want at least 60% of that.
Yes,
that was good. Okay,
it's like
But that was high quality Segway stuff. I wish that was planned.
Segway.
Segway. Yeah.
Okay.
Segway.
All right.
Am I using that?
I was trying to think of a good, you said 60%. I was like, if we cut that sub just a little more than a 6-inch, like we're
reaching now.
I know. I should stop. Okay. Anyway,
you don't have enough carbs in you to cope with anything past that.
I need to refuel it.
Yeah, that is an off-season thought process you're going through right there. Not a peak week. Not a peak
too complex.
Process.
All my power and calories go to my glutes.
Simple math during like peak week is like Einstein level equations, like adding, like just addition is like high level stuff on peak week.
Totally.
So imposter syndrome, you want to give it a breakdown, Ashley?
Yeah. Why don't you throw up that definition?
Yeah.
And we'll kind of go from there, because it's actually not what you might think imposter syndrome is, right? So, imposter syndrome is loosely defined as doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. It disproportionately affects high-achieving people who find it difficult to accept their accomplishments. Many question whether they're deserving of their accolades. So, we were kind of talking about this earlier, and it's almost like the opposite of, what is it? Grandeur?
Illusions of grandeur.
Yeah,
Basically,
illusion.
you feel like you accomplished more than you actually
Right.
have, and like, yeah.
So the people out there with that super inflated ego that think they're something real special. This is kind of the opposite of that, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe you could also say being too humble or
Yeah.
having too much humility in a sense. And while those things sound good, sometimes it can kind of make you
like keep you from reaching
keep
your full,
you from reaching more, because you're kind of downplaying yourself in a way.
Yeah.
And I do think I am guilty of this sometimes. Like, that's why I never want to negotiate my contracts, because I never think I'm like
You just
worthy
gotta
of it.
keep sending those my way.
You
Yeah.
know?
Because I have no problem. I have no problem.
I mean, it's difficult, because in a sense it's good, right?
Yeah.
In a sense it's good because it keeps you grounded and it keeps you grateful. I think by, I guess, having the imposter syndrome, it keeps you grateful for every little thing, but it does have its downside, and you maybe just could be so much better than you are if you allowed yourself to believe that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. And they even said that Einstein would go through it too. Like Einstein went through it, and he like felt like he was getting so much credit for what he was doing that he almost felt like a fraud. But he wasn't. But he just like felt like he was getting undeserving accolades and undeserving recognition, and he was like this just imposter, right? And it's like, no, you've earned this and you deserve those accolades. But it's a weird feeling. But I think the problem with it, and the reason I think that it's relevant to today, is that we kind of, in our society, we kind of breed that these days. Like it used to be a lot different, when we would see greatness and people talked about greatness and you would see it, like, and you would feel it and they would say it, and you would never think they were cocky or arrogant. They would just say, yeah, he's super confident back in the day. So, and when I think of examples, and I feel like I give a lot of boxing examples. Maybe I've turned some people into boxing fans after this, but I grew up with boxing. Like, I loved boxing. In my neighborhood growing up was a little bit of a rough neighborhood. We had a free boxing gym, so everyone basically boxed. So it was just part of it. You'd go there, you'd hit the bags for free, and everyone was there, and it was like a community thing. So I grew up around boxing. So anyway, but when I was growing up, you'd see, Mike Tyson, and you'd see like the old clips. I didn't see Muhammad Ali fight, but you see those old clips of Muhammad Ali and all these things, and they never were humble about anything. Like, it was never about that. It was always like Muhammad Ali was like, I'm the greatest there ever was. He would just always say these things, and everyone just was like, yeah, he is. Like, but now someone says like, oh, he's so cocky, he's so arrogant. And I think that society has kind of groomed us to not say things of excellence, not say things like we're great. But in the result of that is everyone's more on a lower playing field, and it's better for everyone, because now you don't have these high achievers. Like, like if you think of, I always use Elon Musk too as an example. Like, if Elon Musk was like, oh yeah, I'm the best businessman there is, and I'm this, like, he doesn't do that, and no one really has. And the people that kind of do a little bit of that, a little bit like just kind of, I guess, a little bit of cockiness in it, they get like pounded on right away. And so, I would just like to see, because like Mike Tyson, he was like, my defense is impregnable. Like, he would just say all these like crazy words, and everyone was like, he's just the best there ever was. Like, he's the best, and we can't deny that, right? But these days it's like, and I thought that, what's really cool, who did something on this too, was Kanye West. Like, he talks about it. And everyone's like, oh, he's cocky, he's cocky, he's cocky. He's like, he's the one that actually used that as a quote too with Muhammad Ali. He referenced Muhammad Ali saying, back in the day, Muhammad Ali would say he was the best. And what happened? He ended up being the best because he believed he was the best. He's like, so because I think that I'm the best, because I've earned that, I've tried so hard to be the best for so long and said it so many times, I actually believe it. What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Why are you guys upset that I think I'm confident in my abilities, you know? And it's kind of crazy to think about, because when he said it like that, I was like, you know what? He's right. Like, why would we bash someone who's confident in their abilities, who's trying to bring themselves up and build themselves up and build bring their thoughts to fruition, you know? Because you're never going to be successful in any sport, in anything, if you don't really have the confidence that you're going to get to that level, you know?
Right, totally. I think like too, I don't know, part of me thinks too sometimes it's not that I think like I'm a fraud, more like I got really lucky. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I'm just like, I don't know how I got here. I honestly don't know how I got as far as I did. I definitely worked hard for it for sure. But I also got super lucky, and just like my stars aligned so perfectly, and it put me in a perfect scenario to be able to achieve all these things. And I'm not sure if confidence thing, I don't know if that would affect it. Not that I don't have good confidence, but more so like I kind of see myself as just like everyone else. Like, you know, before I go on stage, like I never think like, oh, I'm amazing. I'm so great at this and I'm the best. I don't think that way. Like I just see myself as just like everyone else on the same level. Like everyone's on the same kind of playing field. So I'm not even sure if that would be considered imposter syndrome, but I'm just, I don't know. You know, it has pluses and minuses.
I think you're a realist, but at the same time, sometimes I think you're a little bit too much of a realist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like sometimes I'll have to tell you and I'll be like, I don't have to tell you, but I tell you. And I'm like, you just remember, like, you're the most winning ever. Like, you're the greatest there's ever been. Like, there's no stat that you can show otherwise, you know? Mm-hmm. And, like, you don't, it's weird to say that because we're such good friends and it's like, you're just normal Ashley to me. But it's like, yeah, you did that shit. like, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. In any other sport, if you said that to someone, like, I don't think they'd react the way you did, you know? I think they'd be like, yeah, I am, huh? That's fucking badass, you know?
I'm usually like, well,
like,
you know.
You're like, yeah, well, bodybuilding's harder. You know, like, that's your response.
Well, you know.
Yeah, but it's the truth. It doesn't matter. It's the truth. Like, if Michael Jordan had the most points ever, Michael Jordan is a really good example of having the confidence and backing it up with that, who some would probably say is cocky, but really he had to, like, believe that to that level that he was so good, that he was so much better. Like, can you imagine playing, thinking you're so much better than everyone else at this sport? You're going to play differently. You know, you're going to live up to your absolute max potential because you just think that everyone you're playing right now, I don't think it applies to bikini, but as a basketball player, you're just going to play like, oh, he's just not as good as me. Like, I need your confidence, every move, every crossover. You're just like, dude, this guy's like 2 steps behind me. You know, it's like just a different way of thinking. And if you go about your life that way, I think that it can get you in trouble too. But I think the positives will probably outweigh the negatives, you know, for the most part, unless you're verbally just constantly saying it out public, right? Maybe
True.
That'll be a negative, but
yeah. I mean, I think part of it too is that, like, I hate disappointing people or letting people down. So by kind of like downplaying everything, it gives me a little safety net too. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, don't expect so much, you know, so I don't know. It's just, I go back and forth whether it's a good way to go about things or not. But like I said, I think it does have its positives. It definitely keeps me grateful. And I've never lost gratitude for every little thing because I see it happen all the time. You know, maybe a girl that's new in the sport and she wins her first competition or whatever, and she's like crying and like, oh my gosh. And then, you know, further down the line, she's accomplished a lot more, but kind of forgets that feeling of like the little steps and the little things to be grateful for. And I think I've used the analogy too before of like, even, you know, your first sponsorship. Like, I'll never forget my first sponsorship and how it made me feel. And I never want to lose that feeling of like, wow, oh my gosh, I did that, you know? Whereas like I've accumulated so much more throughout the years, but I never want to forget that feeling of like that first sponsorship I got or that first time I won a show. I don't want it to become normalized. Yeah. I want it to be like, oh my God, I'm like excited because, you know, I think that keeps me going in a sense, like that feeling of like, it's my first win. It does feel like it every time. So.
Yeah, no, I like that part of it. And I think that's a good thing to have, you know, always have that appreciation and whatnot. And then there's a times for that, you know, and you got to do it. And there's also a times for, you know, saying to yourself, I am the most winning, you know, that there ever was. And I'm going to act like that. And I'm going to, you know, like I'm going in and this is my stage, you know?
It's so funny because it kind of reminds me of like those interviews I'll do before shows, and they'll put me on the spot and be like, Ashley, so are you going to win the show? And I guarantee you'll never be able to find an interview where I'm like, yep, heck yeah, I'm going to win. I never say that. I'm always like, well, you know, I'm bringing an awesome package. I tried really hard for this prep. Let's see what happens. You know, you will not find anything out there that says, yeah, I'm going to win. I don't know. I can't put it out there.
Yeah.
It's not the way I think or believe. I don't
think there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but I don't know. You go a little far with this sometimes, but that's okay. I do it too. I know this is the reason that we're having this episode, right? It's because like it's normal things that normal people go through, and even high level people go through, you know. And I think that it's good. But yeah, you are a bikini badass. You are the GOAT, and it's the way it is. It's like there's no arguing that. So it would you know, hopefully that will sink in a little bit more as the years go on.
I'll always be grateful, though. I promise you that.
No, that's important. But no, and as a coach, that stuff's been an issue for me too. And that's why we started talking about it, because she brought it up, this imposter syndrome thing. She brought it up, and I was like, oh wow. I'm like, that's for real something that's really relevant, and I go through it too. And yeah, it's a hard thing to take. It's weird. I don't think people fully understand it, you know, because you try to reach this level your whole life, and when you grow up, like everyone's always telling you, you know, especially like I guess my family's like all in business, and we're all, you know, go get it people, and like, you know, we have like all these like rules that are kind of weird rules that would be like very archaic and old school, but and I think it's just like how it was for like people that went through school in the 90s and stuff too. It's always like, go get it, work harder, you deserve what you get, nothing more, you know, that type of attitude. And then when you finally like start doing it, you're like, oh, what do I do now? You know, you like get there and you're like, oh, but what do I do now? Why? You know, you got to find, and you got to never like lose that why. And it's a hard thing to do. So no, I go through it too. 'Cause like, you know, I never thought all this would happen. You know, we're in a gym that, you know, that I own, and it was just like, I was just like personal trainer, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh, I was pretty happy as a personal trainer, like at 24, you know, it was cool. I didn't have a problem with that. You know, I didn't need all this, but it was definitely, I'm definitely super, super grateful and happy, and never, like I was telling Ashley today, is like, Ashley's funny. She's always like super cautious of my time. And she's like, oh, we'll do a thing today, but only if you have, and I'm like, Ashley, what are you doing here?
Oh, no, I feel bad. You're so busy. I try to limit my...
But it's like, I'm like, no, Ashley, it doesn't matter how much time like it takes. Like, I am so fortunate and blessed and lucky that this is like an actual job. Like I would do this as a hobby for free if it wasn't my job. Yeah. And so like anytime like it's a little bit more, I'm never going to complain.
You know, I honestly I feel bad because like, okay, here's the thing. I always knew you were busy, right? I knew that. You said it. I get it. But I didn't really realize how busy you were until I was working with you here in Vegas. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you were in Colorado, I guess I didn't realize it because I wasn't here with you all the time. But I see it, and now I feel like even for the years past, I feel horrible. I'm like, I took up so much of his time.
It's been the time of my life, though. It's been really fun.
I know, but it's just like, I don't want you to spend that much time on me. Like, I feel uncomfortable. Like I'm stealing you away from other people.
It's been fun. No, it's been a good thing. And I think we're I was telling her the other day, I was like, I'm pretty sure we're like, at least in the bikini world, like we're the dynamic duo of like the bikini coach and coach and bikini girl. And it's like such a fun thing, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's just, we got to enjoy the ride it as hard and as fast and as long as we can. You know, this is just a fun thing. But yeah, it's for me. I still have those issues too with like the imposter syndrome, because I'm always like, yeah, just, you know, I just loved bodybuilding. It wasn't like I want to be this top coach, you know, for like, that was never like growing up. It wasn't like the only goal. It was like, I just love bodybuilding. I want to be the best bodybuilder. And then it turned into the coach because I wasn't a good bodybuilder. And then it was like, I do want to be the best coach. And then like, you know, there's a lot of really, really good coaches out there. And then some, you know, I'll get sometimes some people will say things like that to me, like when they're taking whatever, they'll take pictures or whatever, we're at like expos or whatever. And then they'll like say those things. And I'm like, I'm like, I got some levels to climb still. I still got something. I got some things to learn. And then like, they're like what? And I'm like, and I'll tell them like my weaknesses and stuff in coaching. And then they're like, oh, that's surprising that you think that you have so many weaknesses. And like they'll do that. I'm like, yeah. But so it's kind of like the same thing. It's in a different realm.
Yeah, I think like for you, what I notice is like you're way more adored than what you think you are. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone likes you. I mean, look at his smile. Look, come on. He's so approachable and friendly. But yeah, I think like for you, you're much more appreciated than what you think. You know what I mean? Because I remind you of that. You'd be like, oh, they want to see you. And I'm like, no, Adam, come on. No.
Ashley.
Come on. People like you way more than like me. I mean,
stop it.
Oh, stop. I'm blushing.
It's a different, we have a similar, it's funny. We have similar people that watch us. And then we have some that are like coach people that like the coaching more. And then some people that are bikini people like the bikini more. So it's like, we do get that sometimes, but not like how you're saying.
I think people like you a lot more than they like me. I mean, I think,
Stop it.
Stop. You're making me blush. But no, I mean, yeah,
well,
you're
thanks,
very,
Ash. It's been a fun,
very well liked.
Well, thank you. It's been a fun journey for sure. And this is part of the imposter syndrome, right? Taking compliments like that. But
like, I don't know what to do with it.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Compliment.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Compliment. I don't know what to do.
You know what I hate? Actually, what's funny is like compliments and things, like sincerity, like things. I have a hard time with getting cards. Like
What do you mean?
Like Tori and Sam know like to not get me cards.
Oh.
Like cards with like.
Oh shoot! I think I gave you cards.
No, I don't like opening them in front of people because I feel like I'm supposed to have like a certain reaction. And I don't have those types of emotions.
You know what I always do? I always say, "Open this when I'm away." I tell that to everyone because it's awkward. It's awkward to see them read it, and it's like I could have just said it to your face. You know what I mean?
Okay, so it's not just a me thing.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I don't like cards. I'm like, if you get me something, I'm always gonna be grateful. But
I like cards, but not when I have to read it in front of the person.
Yeah, because I'm like,
I'll do this on my own time.
Because I'm like, am I supposed to like pretend that I'm having this like emotional connection with these letters? Because I'm not. Like, I'm just sorry. I'm just not capable of doing it. Like, I open it and I'm like, I just don't have it. Like, I don't know. It's something in me where I'm just like, I mean,
you're
just
just put on the spot too. It's like awkward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cards make me uncomfortable. I'm just like not cool with cards. But anyways,
don't get them any cards.
Get me a protein bar. I'm happy. Happy camper. Happy. And then Aubrey with the coffees lately on the Mondays has been coming in.
Dang, what a great asset to the team.
Dude, seriously. Yeah. That's coffees better than cards. Yes.
Yeah, coffee's over cards.
Yeah, if I get a shirt, coffee greater than cards. But when we talk about, we're talking about this imposter syndrome and how it applies to like bikini people coming through or coaches coming up and things like that, and all things in your life. What do you think like one of the biggest takes are that you've learned on your journey of it, and how to, and maybe like anything that's held you back possibly, or anything that's gotten in the way? I mean.
Well, I guess the whole like not thinking I'm good enough or worthy enough to like represent a company or a brand. Not that it's hold me back, but like I mentioned, like I'm bad at negotiating contracts because I will think in my mind, I'm like, I will like lowball myself just so I don't disappoint. Like this company or this person has a high expectation of me. I don't want to disappoint them. So I'll take a low, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
undervaluing yourself.
I will undervalue myself because I feel like at least with that I can impress them and give them more than what they thought, I guess, or than what the money would equate to, rather than the opposite of them overpaying or whatever, and then I don't meet up to their expectations because I'm really afraid of letting people down. I guess I don't know. It's like I hate the feeling of disappointment, and I also hate the feeling of people feeling bad for me too. Those are my two things that I'm like, it makes me super uncomfortable, you know? Yeah. Like, I hate when people feel bad for me as well. Like, that's why I don't like to complain as much because I hate the, oh, Ashley. Like, I'm like, ooh, that makes me.
Like me with cards.
I hate like people feeling bad for me. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how people like that. I can't relate how people like to be the victim on like that.
Yeah.
The victimhood mentality. I'm like, I'm the opposite. I'm like, no. Like if I broke my leg or something, don't feel bad for me. I'm like, no, I'm good. Don't you pity me for a second. Nope. I hate it. It makes me feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Ooh. So don't ever feel bad for me.
Super full on cringy.
It gives me like
goosebumps. Yeah.
Don't feel bad for me, please.
That's good to know. I would say coming up as a coach and a trainer, that would be like the biggest thing for me was like undervaluing yourself. And if you're good at it, you know, you should be compensate accordingly to your resume and to your experience, and I think that goes with especially with like the sponsorship thing that you're talking about, with coaches that you're talking about. I see a lot of coaches who do that. They're just like, oh, I'll just do it I'm like, you're never going to be a successful coach because you're not priced at being even where you could do this for your livelihood. Like, you're undervaluing yourself to the point where you'll never make it here. Yeah. Like, and then your clients you get are going to be like the clients that are always looking for a deal. And then as soon as you get what you're worth, they're going to leave, So it's like, just, prove that you're good. If you can back it up, then get what you deserve, type of thing. And it's the same with the athletes. And I think that a lot of athletes actually go through that. And to be honest, that's one of the things I hate the most about our industry is that, before with the supplement sponsors, you'd have to they had very, very few people. You'd have to be a pro, you'd have to win a pro show to get a sponsorship from a company, and then you'd get in the magazines, and they'd have these really high contracts. But it was very few people would actually get these high contracts. Now it's kind of changed. They still have those people with high paying contracts, but they have a whole bunch of ambassadors, and they have all these and they call them ambassadors, they call this, and I've seen some really crappy deals out there where it's like a new bikini pro, and the bikini pro's like, oh, I got a sponsorship, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. What is it? And they'll be like, oh, they give me like $50 of free subs, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're giving you like $50 of free subs, and you're posting them like 3 times a week, and then in your stories like 8 times a week. I'm like, I'll give you that. that's I'll give you double that. Oh, $50 for worth of subs for that? Or oh, they give me $200 of subs. I'm like, the $200 of subs is about 1/3 the cost of the supplements. That's about the cost production of it. So they're giving you $60 worth of actual product, and then they're using their Instagram to the point where people are not going to follow them as much because all they're doing is promoting stuff. I'll see some people who do they get a little too carried away at first, and they'll do every post for a week, the same company, and it's just a product in your face. It's pre-workout, and that's the only thing that's there, right? And I'm like, I don't want to watch your ads, dude. I don't want to watch your ads. And then I'm like, how much are you getting paid to lose followers and lose potential, people following your journey, and to lose your diary, really, because it's like a picture diary, basically what it is. And oh, I'm getting subs. I'm like, don't undersell yourself. Get what you're worth. You got whatever 10,000 followers. That has value to it. Your following, your local area, your whatever, the people who did the show that saw you win, that has value to it more than what you're getting. Get what you're worth, And I think that happens a lot in our industry, which it does upset. That upsets me probably more than anything. I don't mind when people get okay contracts. I'm like, at least they're getting something. But when they're getting nothing in exchange for a lot, I'm like, guys, get what you're worth. Totally. You worked your ass off in the gym, and you kill yourself. You eat out of Tupperware. You had boyfriends you've broken up with because they don't get your lifestyle. You've done all these things, and then you're selling yourself for $50 worth of supplements. And I'm like, dude, guys, get what you're worth. And if everyone said no to those deals, the deals would get better. But because so many people say yes to them, they just move on to the next person. Oh, this girl will want it, and it's a nonstop, and they got 1,000 ambassadors barely giving them anything, and they're getting a ton of free advertising for it. And it's that. I do hate that about it, and it comes down to worth. People having their self-worth. Maybe it's an imposter syndrome thing, but it's just them getting excited about anything in that initial contact. But I'm like, hey guys, that initial contact is going to everyone. It's some assistant in an office copy pasting that to 100 people who tagged whatever bikini on their hashtag. So it's that's one thing that I think that we can all have that value. And hey, this is hard work. You should get what you're worth.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I also want to clarify too, because when I said in the past, I would lowball myself for contract. Every sponsor I work with now.
You got good sponsorships now.
Yeah, really you can vouch.
Yes.
And I've definitely had to consult, but I just want to clarify that because I don't want people to think anybody that I'm working with now are
up and coming people.
Yeah, So it's just, but yeah, exactly what you said. I agree with everything you just said.
To be honest, I actually like your sponsors. I think I like your people the people that are backing you, your sponsors, more than any group of sponsors. They're so good.
Oh, I know.
High Tech's awesome. Trifecta's awesome. I mean, Angels is just ridiculous what they do. They're just,
God bless them.
Angels is so good.
I get a new suit every show if I wanted to.
They're just, they don't even they're just so good. And they were to our team too. I've had issues in the past where, something small. I'm like, hey, this suit's a little it'll be like nationals, like this suit needs a little like adjusting. Don't you think it's a little short in the top or whatever? And they're like, we're sending someone up to her room right now. And I'm like, you guys are here?
Oh yeah, they're the best with custom.
It's crazy, man. They're so good. So yeah, shout out to Angels and Kara, because they're actually really they've really gone over and above to like.
And Kara went with me to my Europe trip.
That was another one.
That was priceless.
Yeah, so it's cool. You definitely, in terms of that stuff, you got the good ones. You've
Oh, I know.
You've worked your way up. You've worked your way up.
I'm very lucky to have them. Everyone that I am sponsored by is great. You know.
So how do we go about having the confidence and not looking arrogant, and like I guess traveling that line, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that you should take seconds, like take time back and say, hey, I have accomplished this. It's pretty incredible. Like even if you just won your first show, that's hard to do, man. Like everyone wanted to win that show. Everyone wanted to win that class. Everyone wants to be on that stage. Like no matter what level you're at, you're farther than pretty much everyone in the gym and everyone in the general public, right? So you should be proud of that. Like that's a problem I have with it too, is that you have these girls, these like beautiful girls with amazing physiques, like just any other situation, easily the prettiest girl, the most fit girl at the party, right? Like no problem. But then they get in our world and then they get off stage and then they're like, oh, I wasn't good enough. And I'm like, you might not have won today because, there's 20 people all trying to win that class, whatever, one class. But like, look at the real world. Like, look at how far you are past the regular person who's like, can't even, stay in shape at all, like with effort. And like, look at how far you are. And then there's always a level, no matter if you're, Ashley winning everything basically. And then you have your first show where you got third, like you're still better than, and you should have that confidence that you did accomplish these things. And I think that everyone needs to take the time and realize, hey, like I've done some pretty cool stuff and I've accomplished great things, and like take a second of reflection to do that, because everyone's seen my vlogs and my stuff for the most part. That's like, that follows me at least. Like I just ran through the last few years and like it was just going. And like I never took a second. Like you were one of the ones that like made me take a second. You're like, take a picture. And like I even left the other prep center. I never took a picture in front of the building. I know, and I like felt so bad about it now because I have a picture of the building. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, that whole process, like I guess it's on the vlog, but I'm like, I would have loved to have a picture like on the wall somewhere. I don't have it, I was just moving, and like I never took a second back to like realize it was great. And then people would always like, what you've done is so cool. Like no one's done this, and I'm like, yeah, it could be better. Like I've never like, you know what I mean? And it's like this like insatiable appetite to be great is great, but it also, you have to like take a second and be like, okay, what we've done is pretty cool here. Yeah. Like it's pretty badass, to be honest.
Totally.
Like this building's pretty sick, to be honest.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty crazy, and especially because you were here in the beginning too, and it was like such a wild thing that happened. That was such a wild thing. Like that'll never happen again. Like how that all transpired. But so
Good
I think,
stuff.
I think we all need to take a second, realize no matter what level you're at, you've done great things. Get what you're worth. Take that time to reflect. Make sure that the right people are in your corner, so they're keeping you. Like I'm telling Ashley, she's the best all the time. Like she needs people like that. I need people like Ashley telling me, hey, you're doing great things too. Like I feel like that's important. And just like take that time and give that to yourself. I think it's very important to do that, and just not just because if you keep moving and you never take a second back, you're going to have some regrets. I definitely did. Mm-hmm. So now I'm like smelling the roses. Actually, one of our coaches, Coach G, texted me yesterday. He's like, I'm so glad that you're with your mom this weekend. Like you need to just take time and smell the roses. You do so much for us and whatnot. He's like, that's everything. And it was cool. I was like, you're right, G, So, so anyway, thanks. Shout out to G. But so yeah, I think we all need to do that and just slow down in our lives a little bit and just take that time and still know that you are great at whatever it is that even if you're not as great as you want to be yet, you're still greater than like the average person who's even just trying to lift weights and trying to just stay in shape,
Right, totally. I agree 100% with that. I think it's important to, have those reminders like, you know what, even if your show didn't go as well as you expected, hey, look how much you've done already and how far you've come. And even if you're not where you want to be now, just like you said, you can get there one day with the right attitude. And, and on the opposite end of two, I think it's important to state that too much of an ego and too much, I guess, overinflated confidence is not good either, because then that kind of makes you bitter, I feel like, when things don't go your way and you think a little too highly of yourself. And I think that can be detrimental as well. Those are the, the people that, like, I kind of referred to in the beginning of the podcast, like, maybe those are the people that become ungrateful for the little things that used to bring them so much joy and excitement, but now they've come so far from that place that they forget where it started, who helped them, and those little opportunities that might not seem like much now because they're so accomplished, but back in the day, it was a big deal for them, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I go through that a little bit for sure. So I gotta be, sometimes I do that. Because when I first remember, it's funny because there's a coach out here named Alec. He's a real cool dude, and you know who he is. I'll point him out to you again the next show. But he was at a show, and it was cool to see. It really reminded me of me when I was like younger and doing like show preps, and like someone would win or someone was doing really well in the show, and he was like running around. He was like super excited, like high-fiving me and stuff, and like I've done that 1,000 times, Yeah. And so it's like, winning an overall for me now is an expectation, not a accomplishment as much. I'm like, no, we should be winning. And it's that attitude is not necessarily like the best of times because I think that came from hockey because my coaches would be like, why, like when we would score, they'd be like, why are you celebrating so hard? You're supposed to score. You're a forward. Like you're supposed to score. And then so we would like settle down, like, act like you've done it before and then it'll become normal. And it becomes normal, that it's going to become repetitive and routine. We don't want it to be this huge accomplishment of excellence because that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? And it was like, okay, so then like you had to like score and then you had to act like you had no emotion, right? And it was like, because you had to do it again. And it was like, it had to be like so normal and intimidating to the other team that it was like, no, you score, you line up. Score, you line up. You give a little fist pump. You don't do this world championship event type of, like they would make it like, so it's like this thing they put in your head. So it's like, no, you're supposed to win overalls, Adam. You're supposed to be better than these other coaches. You've done this for 20 years. Like, and so like you start getting this like mentality, and it takes some joy away from you though.
It does,
it really does.
Because here's the thing: like, if you won, then it's like, oh yeah, well, I expected to win, duh. But if you don't win, it's like very disappointing.
Yeah.
So it almost like removes that the excitement of it all.
Yeah,
and I think it's important to have excitement. That's what keeps us going, you
Yeah.
know? That's if it became routine and just like, oh yeah, one, whatever, then there's no fun to it.
Yeah. So now being here though has really helped that too. Because it was, I will say in Denver, especially in Bikini, was a little easier than out here. There's a lot of really high level coaches too, at least on the local level, And then so, it's good to like take steps back and be like, don't forget. Like when I saw Alec doing it, I was like, you know what, dude, good for him. Like that's so cool to see him like excited about it and whatnot. And then it like reminded me, I'm like, dude, you gotta like stop with this like that stuff that's been in your head for so long. Like that whole routine, you're supposed to be good stuff is not good for you. Like it's not a good healthy thing.
Right.
So I've gotten a little better with it. But yeah, it's when you win, when you do it a lot, it does become kind of routine, and you have to like always appreciate, like you said, you got to appreciate it. And so like for me, it's like finding that again too. But I've been better at it for sure. But for a while, I was like, there was a time where I was like a killer. I remember there were 6 classes of Bikini one time at Colorado State, and we won 5 of them. And everyone's like, dude, you won 5 of the 6 classes. And I was like, yeah, I know. Should have won 6. Like I was like, and I wasn't happy unless we won 6. And then we won I think we won 7 out of 9 overalls in like the local area. This is like before it was like so online and stuff. And I was like, they were like, dude, you got 7 of the 9. I was like, I know. Like, should have had 9 out of 9. Like, it was like, it's just this, like, it was like a for real belief and expectation of myself. Like anything less than that, anything less than perfect was no good, So it's definitely it's not the place you want to live. That's for sure. But anyway, I did have a good question came in. We have a couple people on Instagram. If you guys are, on Mondays, we do these live for the most of the time. We had a good question come in. And this question was from Nora. And it said, Ashley, do you think you would be more comfortable stating that you would win a competition if this was skill-based sport and not a physique-based sport?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in bikini where it's the most subjective.
I was going to ask that next.
Yeah. See, like in track, it's kind of like, okay, my PR is, 0.25 seconds faster than this girl. So odds are, unless I'm having a really crappy day, I got this, right? So in this sport, there's no way to predict that. You could go into a show thinking you look the best you've ever had. You could go into the show thinking you look way better than everyone else, and somebody that you don't expect to win will win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's so unpredictable in bikinis. So that was a great question.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
And then the question would be the follow up on that, because you kind of answered it. But if it was bodybuilding, if you were a bodybuilder, would you be more like?
I would be more comfortable, but still not as comfortable as like a skill based like track.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Makes sense. I could see that, because like a powerlifting thing, it'd be pretty easy to identify. You'd be like, yeah, I lift 1,000 pounds.
Unless you're having the crappiest day, like odds are you're gonna be able to win, and it's like, you know, more predictable. But you know, bikini, the least predictable division out of them all.
Yeah, that would be harder.
But even bodybuilding can be a little like debatable.
Because there is always the factor.
Even at the Arnold, it was whoa.
Yeah,
it was very divisive and polarizing.
I had William. The whole time. So yeah, I actually was surprised. I'm still like, I don't know how that happened, you know, to be honest. But that's the thing. But there's always, that's the thing with bodybuilding. There's always the size versus conditioning factor, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, are you gonna like, if they're both have their arguments and one's a little more conditioned and one's a little bigger, you can't, like, what are they gonna go with that day? That's the one time it becomes kind of argumentative, right? Mm-hmm. So. But that was an interesting one. That one really set the world on fire, right? Because I was on that one, and I'm a big Brandon fan too. But I was like, William, I just thought he had it the whole time. I thought he had it that day. So, but
they, from what I understand, just for your knowledge, he spoke about it afterwards, and the judges told him like it was like because of his midsection distension and his chest.
The gyno a little bit. Yeah. That's why.
He
after
lost,
that, I heard it. I was like, okay, I guess that's a fair argument. But
But it's happened before in other divisions too, like in bodybuilding, where it maybe was like a point split really close, and then half the people will be like, no, this person should have won. The other half being like, no, this person should have won. So even then, it's still up for debate. But
I've only had it a couple of times where I was like at the big ones where I'm like, oh, I think they got that one. Like it could have went the other way. Like should have went the other way. And one of them was when Dorian Yates had his bicep messed up too. I thought he was a little off there. But that was like only been a couple of times where I'm like, oh, should be the other way. But but they've all made sense though. They've all like had like all of them that I thought was the other way always had a follow up to it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. That's actually a valid reason. Like, no matter, you know what I mean? So anyway, that's me. That's an Adam fan. Adam as a fan, because I still love bodybuilding as a fan. I do love it so much. That's a cool thing about going to your shows and stuff. Sometimes it'll be a bodybuilding show too, and I'll be like following like who's, oh crap, I get to see it. You know, who's gonna be there? It's kind of fun. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I guess is that it for today?
Yeah, unless you have any other good questions that somebody asks.
Looks like any questions about this topic, guys. This would be the time. And then
just so you know, they don't refresh. So if you go all the way to the bottom, there's new ones.
Yeah. Let's see here. Claudia said, it's so good that you guys be talking. So good to talk about the imposter syndrome is a thing. I guess it helps to know why Ashley feels that way. That's pretty cool. I think you went into that pretty well today.
I try.
No, it's cool. I think it's important to like, we're pretty open, I think, about our feelings and our real. What's funny is that
we're getting in the feels.
Yeah, I think as a podcast has progressed, like we've been more and more open of it, right? And then it's just been like more real, and I think people just can appreciate, because you can only what I found too is like if you carry on this character on your social medias, like eventually the real you is going to come out anyway. Right. So I'm like, hey, I'm just going to say it as it is, and if you like me, great. I hope you do, but if not, then there's going to be those people too, because I'm not doing this fake character. This is just it is me. It is what it is.
Yeah, I like the podcast because you get to know more about it, us, and we can kind of even vent on here too, which is not something you can do like on Instagram through a photo or 15-second video. So it's kind of nice to be able to connect a deeper level for those that are interested to listen to our podcast. So
there's cool. There wasn't any more questions, but Angel Competition said, Adam is so pretty. Oh, no, actually, they said Ashley is so pretty. They mistyped.
That was clearly a typo.
It clearly was a typo.
Clearly. I mean, because your brows are looking great today, and he's having a good hair day,
The brows are okay. The brows are okay today. They've been better.
I think you're having a great brow day.
Okay.
And the hair's got a nice little swoopy-doo.
You like that? It's something new.
Yeah.
I've been messing with it a lot lately. Yeah. I had it a little bit too long at the Arnold. It was getting a little wild there.
I didn't notice.
I don't know if it was age appropriate. I was like, it was a little too wild.
I didn't think it was wild. I didn't
It's like I'm not 15 years old here. Okay. It just seemed like really like sharp.
I didn't notice.
This could poke someone's eye out. So
Your hair is a lot straighter than what I assumed.
straightener. Use a
Oh,
hair
you
straight-
straighten your
I
hair?
straighten it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm not too proud to say that. Yeah. Well, it was too curly and it's
so
wavy.
it's the opposite. I was thinking it was a wavy. Okay.
Yeah, if I don't have it, it's like like too thick to do anything with
Okay.
it, and so I throw the little mini straightener on it real quick. Yeah, that's always a fun topic at the house with like someone comes over, they're like, "You straighten your hair?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my eyebrow pencil too."
Oh my gosh.
That's why the brows are so great. So I couldn't find it.
Oh,
only for this though. Only for this. All this doesn't just happen, Ashley. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't just wake up like this, you know?
All right. Well, with that, guys, I guess we will go from here.
Yes, we will. We shall go from here.
We shall go from here. Off to California for you.
Yes.
And wish Ashley luck in the comments, guys.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I feel special.
We'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.